And we are back. It's episode 10 of the road to the inspection. Now, after the inspection, so not so much of a road more, but we are paving our path after all of these 3 very intense days last week.
Welcome to part 10, post-inspection.
Truth be told, it was much more intense than I had anticipated. We've had 2 inspections here at the GCP service headquarters before. We've had probably 100 audits. So I thought I had a very good idea of what was awaiting me, and it definitely exceeded any of the expectations that I had. A team of very experienced people came in. We had a lot to discuss, and the intensity of the discussion and the scrutiny that you receive as a sponsor of a clinical trial was definitely different to the one that we are used to as a contract research organization. So, how did it go? Well, it started out, I want to say, a little bit more controversial, because at GCP Service we have one joint quality management system that covers all of our entities. And that quality management system is held by our headquarters. And all of the subsidiaries and entities and branch offices of GCP Service fall under that quality management system, are integrated and a part of that, and also listed. So we went into running trials as a trial sponsor, saying we have a quality management system that has been developed for 20 years. So we are going to use it, and we are just going to say we split some of the responsibilities. We documented it accordingly, but we were also of the impression that we don't need to audit ourselves, because it feels a little bit over the top to say that we know the processes, we build the processes, and now we need to qualify ourselves a little bit more. It was made very clear on day one that that is a regulatory inspection, because formally these are 2 separate entities. And so this set us up for a rather controversial discussion around our processes and how we implemented them for the next 3 days. At the end of the day, the outcome is that it does not seem to have impacted patient safety and data integrity in a meaningful manner in the trial that would lead to risk for patients within the study. That's very positive, but definitely it means we need to adjust our processes here a little bit. This is one of the key findings of the inspection, and we will talk more about them in detail once we have the written feedback from the inspectors in the report. That's probably going to take around 4 weeks. And once we have cleared up our answers to those, and then we will present to you what our interpretation of these findings are and how we think we should approach being a sponsor of a clinical trial differently, to give you a roadmap of how you can implement that yourself for your own vendors, for your own trials, and for outsourcing responsibilities, or rather tasks, as the clinical trial sponsors. So overall, those were intense days. It was long days that we had with the inspectors. At the end of the day, 5 people from the inspectorate showed up. It was 5 people from the GCP service team there. We had a lot of discussion, a lot of communication, at times split sessions. So there was well over probably 30 hours of conversation in those 3 days across all of the different sessions that we had. And our team, even before the inspectors came and after the inspectors left, had a lot of stuff to do, because all of the questions that were asked and topics that were pending for the next days, where we already had a better idea of what was going to be asked, we already worked on presenting them in a more accessible manner for the next day. So long days, very intense days, and a lot of support from our team internally here at GCP Service, which really makes me grateful to work with such fantastic people together. So what's the outcome of all of this? Well, we want to make clinical trials accessible, and we also want to make sure that small sponsors, and especially also investigators that want to run trials who are not supported by their university clinics, or where the trial concept is a bit too complex for that university clinics, are still manageable. For that reason, we have our sponsorship as a service model, and that's why this inspection was so important for us, because we need to understand where reality and clinical day-to-day meets regulatory requirements and inspectors' expectations for conduct and processes and quality management systems. This interface is something we got to see and live and discuss for the last 3 days at the end of last week, and that was fantastic for us. Certainly, we need to adjust and fine-tune a few things here and there, because we ran a quality management system as a CRO, and there needs to be some adjustments to running this as 2 separate entities with a sponsor and a CRO, and we need to fine-tune and align that. And it's good for us to know that, because it means we can improve and we can make sure that we do right to regulatory expectations, but also to our clients and to investigators, and enabling clinical trials that are run by small entities who do not have 100 people to manage an entire system of processes and SOPs and running the trials. So there are many of us out there that work under these conditions, and we're really glad to have gotten that feedback and to be able to work through it and share it also with you on what it means and give you a validated blueprint of what it takes to run clinical trials. So stay tuned. More information on that once we receive it. That's currently out of our hands, but around maybe 4 to 6 weeks is what it's going to take. And if you have more questions in between or want to learn more, feel free to reach out. I'm going to try to sit down this week with the other people that joined the inspection to give you some more thoughts and considerations and where they saw the important elements of the inspections later this week. Until then, hope you enjoyed the content.